back to Dubsy Bricks for another episode of building Gotham City in Lego, and here we are at the Gotham Stock Exchange. Now this is a building I started several months ago and didn't get much further than this. I have stolen a fair few bricks from this build for the Old Wayne Tower, Mandalore. I took the window frames out of it last week, and I have got some light bluish grey window frames which I can put back in its place, and it's not going to make that much difference as you can't see the uprights of the window frame because they're hidden behind the walls there. So that's all good. But one thing I am considering doing is removing this whole building from the Mills plate, building a plate that's the shape of the building, or roughly the shape of the building, and building that on there. So when I move into the new Lego room, this building can just sit on tiles. It's not fixed to a plate. That way I can have it at whatever angle I want to do. I can move it around the city a lot more. And that is something that I'm considering doing with the majority of the buildings. I'm going to try and get away from having set Mills plates. I don't want it so every single road is the same width. Every curb is the same width. Every building is on a same size build. I want to have it so that you can move things around. There's a lot more variety, a lot more angles within the city. And I just think it's going to give it a lot more character and make it stand out a little bit more from other cities. One channel I do watch is Brickcraft, and I am full of admiration of how good he does his city. And again, it's because they're buildings that he can place wherever he likes. And I do think it gives a more natural look to a city. So that's what we're going to be aiming to do with this build here. So first I'm going to do, I'm going to get some plates out, see what I can do in regards to making this sort of shape. And then once I've done that, I'll check back in and show you what it's looking like. And then we'll transfer the walls onto the plate. And here we have the plate all ready to build the building on, and I've used the same technique as I used for my flat iron building, where you put the wedge plates on the inside and then reverse the plates onto the side of it. And again, the multicoloured part here is all going to be covered over, and there's a couple of the hinge pieces along the edge here. So there's one there, the grey one there, and then a couple on the end as well, just keeping that all nice and firmly in place. And again, there's no gap in between where these plates connect onto the wedge plates. So now that I've done that, I'm going to put a row of bricks, snot bricks on the edge here. When I've put the snot bricks on there, I'll then be able to put a tile or a plate on the edge, and it'll be perfectly flush with the bottom. So when this is then placed on in the city on tiles, this will rest nicely on there and there'll be no gap at all showing. So that's all good. Once I've done the row of bricks around the edge, I'm then going to put a third row of plates or tiles on the inside, and then that'll keep the hinge places all compressed together, and then hopefully that'll make it nice and sturdy for when I'm moving the building around. And here we have the reconstruction of the build and a couple of slight amendments. This back section here I'm going to be changing up. So I'm going to have it so that there is a plate sticking out on here that goes across by 3 studs. And then on here, there'll be a brick coming out as well. And then that should fill in the gap. There'll be just a very minor gap on the edge just there. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the best looking option for that. On the front section just here, I've attached the stairs that lead up to that, to the actual base itself. It's looking like it's going to be the easiest way of having fewer gaps in there. And also by doing it this way, once again, I can place the build at any angle I like within the city, and the steps are going to be in place. As long as I've tiled underneath that, that will all be good. The next thing I've got to do is work on the front section. So I had these 2 sections before. They go at a very slight angle. So once again, I just need to work out how I'm going to attach those to that. And once I've done that, then I'll start working on plating off the top of this so that it's all ready for the next floor up. So I'll plate it off, then tile it. And one thing I am considering doing is having an inverted slope just come out by 1 stud, and then that way the 4x plates I intend to put all the way around the top, they'll only be going in by 3 studs as opposed to 4. And we've hit the first technical problem of the rebuild of the stock exchange here, and it's on this front section. The gap between these 2 here must be slightly different than the previous design, as I can't get the 2 to join up. It's a fraction out on there. I've tried different things. I've used the hinge pieces here. I've used the circular plates as well, using the same technique as before, and it's just not quite lining up. So I'm going to have to decide on how I want to proceed forward with changing the front of this. I do still want to have it as an angle going backwards, but yeah, something's going to have to change in order to get this completed. So let's carry on thinking, see what we can come up with, and hopefully the we'll find a solution. And a little bit more progress has been made. I've started working on the top section here. However, I'm not liking this macaroni piece here. It just overhangs that a little bit too much. I've come up with a door design here, which it works. It's all connected using hinge pieces. There's no gaps as such in there. However, it just doesn't look right. There's something about it I don't like. And I think what I need to do is do away with having this wall at a very slight angle. So I think what I need to do is extend this wall along a little bit further, then have it so it goes at a 90-degree angle going across to this pillar just here. By doing so, I'll be able to tidy up this entire section here. I won't have to have that massive overhang. I'll be able to make the door entrance a lot better. There'll be a lot more I can do with it if it is in a straight line as opposed to going at that angle. So I think that is something I'm going to work on. And then once I've done that, then I can start thinking about how I go about the next floor up on there. So let's make those changes and see if it improves the build. And here we have the latest attempt for the front of the stock exchange, and I'm still not happy with it. I've got steps going down to the doors, which I've made inside a lobby area, I suppose you call it. However, they're over to one side a little bit, and this whole entrance just doesn't look right. You've got one stud overhanging this side of the door frame. You've got two over on this side, so it doesn't look right. The steps here, again, they don't look right. They're over to the side by too much, so I need to totally rework this front end. But I think I'm going to go back to seeing if I can get that wall at the angle, and it's really frustrating. I've spent so many hours just trying to get this looking right, how I want it to look, and nothing's come out exactly how I want it to. The previous design I had on there I really liked, but for whatever reason I can't quite get it how that is. So I'm going to go back and relook at some photos of how I had it before and just see if I've missed something on the design and see if we can rectify that. But it's all in all, I'm really happy with what we've managed to get done this week. Getting the new base level all sorted out, so it's now on its own base plate is really good. So I can, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, move this within the city. It can be at a slight angle. It doesn't have to be square this way or that way, and have it just a little bit off center. And I do think that's going to add a lot to the character of the city. Now with the floors I'm going to be going up on here, I'm going to keep the same shape I think for at least 2 floors. This isn't going to be a massively tall building like the Old Wayne Tower. This is going to be quite a short building, probably just the 3 stories, and what I put on the top I'm not quite sure roof wise just yet. So hopefully next week I'll be able to get the next floor all done, as well as getting the front side of this all corrected. But it is really nice to get back to building this building. It was such a shame seeing it all in pieces where I'd stolen a brick here and there, and yeah, good to get it back together. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if anybody else you think would be interested in building Gotham or building Mandalore, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for popping on by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.